Hello and welcome to the Dewey Decibel System, the official podcast of the Buchanan District Library in Buchanan, Michigan. I'm Meg Paulette Perez. I'm the director of the library and one of your hosts, along with my buddies and coworkers, Karen Gonzalez and Grant Wagner. Hey, Karen. Hey, Grant.
Hi.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Do you guys have big plans for the holiday weekend? It's Memorial Day coming up here.
I honestly don't know what I'm doing yet. I might walk the parade.
That's true. Yes, I know I will be in the parade. Whether I will be in a shark costume or not is still to be determined. Or Grant, I don't know. Would you like to be in a shark costume?
I'm in the parade already.
Oh, you are? Oh, as Mr. Buchanan.
Yes,
he's
Mr. Famous.
Remember? I always forget that you're royalty. But yeah, it'll be fun. We'll be passing out our summer reading brochures, so that's always a good thing to do. But anyway, thanks guys for being back. And for any of you listening out there, in case this is the first time you've listened to our podcast, let me tell you how our show works. Karen, Grant, and myself all work here at the library, and on each episode we get together and we talk about books, movies, TV shows, music, video games, or pretty much anything we want to, but we have to have checked out the thing that we're talking about with our library card. Lucky for us, you can get almost anything with your library card because your card doesn't just let you check out stuff that's here at our library. You can also get things from libraries all over the state through interlibrary loan, known as Melcat. And you can check out digital books, music, movies, and more on Libby and Hoopla. And you can use your card at other libraries nearby that Buchanan cardholders have reciprocal borrowing privileges at. Each month, we have a different special guest join our conversation, and this month's special guest is Grace Fredenburg, Education and Outreach Coordinator for Chikaming Open Lands. Chikaming Open Lands is a really cool organization that works to preserve the open spaces and natural habitats in Berrien County, and we've gotten to know Grace over the last couple years through the Story Walk at the Preserves program, which we'll talk about more in a bit, also through several wonderful outreach programs that she's done here at our library. So we thought it would be a lot of fun to get to know her better by inviting her on the podcast. But before we get into our conversation, we're going to give you a little preview of the many, many fun things that are going to be happening at the library this summer. So stick around and we'll be right back with that. All right, welcome back. We gave Karen and Grant a chance to take a coffee break, and I've got Laura and Jen here with me, and we're going to talk all about summer reading. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, yeah, we are gearing up for a busy summer.
It's very busy.
It's going to be great, though, right?
Yes.
We just keep telling ourselves that. So, yeah, Laura, I thought maybe you could start and kind of just give us an overview of the summer reading program. What does that even mean?
So we are, so the program kind of encompasses our weekly events and also then tracking your reading and earning prizes. So once again, we're doing that via Beanstack, which is an app on your phone or a website on the computer. And if you're still like to do things on paper, you can still do it on paper. That is an option.
Yeah, but Beanstack is really fun, honestly.
It's really fun.
So if you're into apps, Beanstack's a good one.
And there's all kinds of extra things beyond just tracking your reading. You can earn points for obviously the logging reading, but also writing reviews, attending events, and completing fun activities. So that's going to start. You can start registering June 1st, which is this week.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's coming up crazy fast.
Yep.
You can start logging your reading on June 7th. And then you can start earning points when you're logging your reading, doing all the events and the activities. Your points are redeemable for reading reward prizes, and that starts June 14th. And don't forget, this is for adults, too.
Yay, I'm so happy about this. This is our second year doing it, and I feel like people really enjoyed it last year. So to back up, we've always done little prizes, like little tchotchkes that kids can earn for their reading and their activities and all the things they do. But at some point it dawned on us, why is this only for children? Like adults like this kind of stuff, too.
Yes.
So it was really fun last year to have adults picking out their little prizes. And, yeah, we've got a ton of good stuff this year.
And Jen and I just went shopping for prizes, and we're super excited to share this stuff for you.
My
it's going to be great.
Yeah, because the whole theme is kind of around like the outdoors and adventure. It's adventure begins at your library. And so, yeah, it's all outdoorsy stuff and camping and fishing. And so there's a lot of stuff in that kind of the prizes that are related to that, which I think is nice.
Yes.
Okay, so Jen,
Hey.
You're in charge of all the fun stuff. So can you tell us about a few like big programs that are going to be cool this year that we're going to have?
Well, we are having a campfire night.
Oh, yes. I'm
and we're
excited
going to
about
be
this
making
one.
s'mores, and you can come and learn about camping and, how to put up a tent and learning about different scouting groups. They're going to be there.
Yep.
So it's going to be super fun.
Yep, that's Tuesday, July 16th from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Common.
Yes.
So that'll be kind of,
Yeah, it's gonna
partying
be,
late night with
it's
the library.
Yeah, late night partying.
Yeah. So that one's really cool. And then Stop, Lunch, and Listen is always super just popular, right?
Oh yeah, and we're kicking it off this year with fire dancers.
I'm still a little nervous about this. All the children sit very far away from the fire dancers. No, I'm just kidding. They're professionals.
They assured me that and they're going to incorporate not just watching the fire dancing, but learning about the culture too.
Okay.
So it's
Very
going to
cool.
be slightly learning, hidden in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a really good kickoff.
Yeah. So the Stop, Lunch, and Listens are every Thursday at noon. What's the first one? Oh, June 13th. Mm-hmm. So yeah, every Thursday at noon, except for the one that falls on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
There will be something cool happening on the Common
And
stage.
they're all cool. I handpicked them.
Yep.
So
yeah, these are always a big deal. Cool. And yeah, beyond that, I mean, there's a million things in this brochure that you could talk about. You got
There's
any
so
others
many.
that you really want to shout out?
I'm really excited about the bug taste test.
Oh yeah. I've had mixed reactions as I talk to children about this. Some of them are so excited, and others are
My
like,
kids
I'm
are
not
excited.
doing that.
My kids can't wait to try a chocolate-covered grasshopper.
Yeah, so we're all going to be adventurous in our tasting
Yes.
and try different bug-related treats.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do this yet.
Some of them are a little bit less weird, like Cricut flour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not tasting, bug legs, so,
Yes.
it might just be, it's a different kind of protein.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And to help support that program, we did add 2 bug cookbooks to the library.
Oh, nice.
So you can check those out.
Yes.
Very adventurous. I like that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming to talk to us. We do have these summer reading brochures. We've been papering the town with them, but we still got plenty. So if you didn't get one out there, just make sure you stop in and get one. It tells you about all our events. Oh, and before we go, I did want to say we're also partnering with Cultural Arts Everywhere, which is a really cool organization. Greta Pope is the founder of this organization. A lot of you might know her from her performances on the Common, and this is her way of giving back. So she's doing singing classes, creative writing, smartphone filmmaking, samba classes, all kinds of stuff. Her and some of her partners are offering these, and we're hosting them here at the library, so I'm really excited about that too. Okay, so thank you guys again.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be right back with the rest of our show. All right, welcome back. And before we get into discussing our picks this month, we have to meet our special guest, Grace Fredenburg. Hello, Grace. Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself and all the cool stuff that you guys do over at Chikaming.
Yeah, so I work for Chikaming Open Lands. I've been there for going on 2 years in June, and I love it. So we protect the open spaces throughout Michigan, specifically Berrien County, and we work to protect it for people like you guys.
Yeah, I love the stuff that you guys have done recently. We've gotten a preserve here in Buchanan, and then out by the Trillium Ravine, you guys bought some land over there, right?
Yeah, so we have 2 new preserves really close to the Buchanan District Library. One of them's Myron Perlman, and then the other one's Trillium Woodlands Preserve, and that is right next to Trillium Ravine, which is a Michigan Nature Association property. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to work with another organization who has a similar mission to continue protecting our native plants.
Yeah.
I am so excited about both these properties because they are great places to see spring ephemerals. Mm-hmm. If you're unfamiliar with that term, it's pretty much spring wildflowers, and ephemerals only bloom for a short period of time. So they do the majority of their growing right in the spring and over a few weeks. And those 2 preserves, they are a magical wonderland for them. We did a walk through Trillium Woodlands right at the peak of the spring ephemerals this year, and I just looked and I said, man, I feel like there should be little fairies flying around here. So it is
It is very magical. And you have to catch it at just the right time, which is kind of cool, too. Like, it makes it extra special, I think. And the thing I really like about the Chikaming Open Lands preserves, too, is that they are just open. I don't know if that's why you call them that, but it's like, I love that it's just anybody can go, it's not, behind a paywall or anything like that. I just love that about
and that is why, it's open lands. They're open spaces for everyone and, for our native animals and plants just to be there and to interact in one protected space. Yeah. And the cool thing about our organization is we do protect those spaces forever. So once we own a property, it's protected. Yeah. So...
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for being here. Okay, so we've got some cool stuff to talk about today, as usual. We always do. So we're going to get into it with Mr. Grantland's pick this time. Would you like me to introduce it for you here?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
Want to see what I got you today? It's a Mockingjay pin. As long as you have it, nothing bad will happen to you. I promise.
Welcome and happy Hunger Games.
I just love that. Ladies first.
Primrose Everdeen.
I volunteer! I volunteer as tribute.
You're stronger than they are.
There's 24 of us, Gail. Only one comes out. No! Take care of them, Gail. Whatever you do, don't let them starve.
Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire!
What did you say to your sister when you volunteered at the reaping?
I told her that I would try to win for her.
And try you will.
I just keep wishing that I could think of a way to show them that they don't own me. If I'm gonna die, I want to still be me.
I just can't afford to think like that.
All right, Grant, tell us what we're talking about, what everyone's getting so excited about as they listen to that trailer.
I love it. So we are talking about the Hunger Games movie, the first one. And I'm just in love with this movie. Like, I only watched it for the first time last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was doing an English book club, and The Hunger Games was the book I chose.
Okay.
Didn't really get into the book. No shocker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then
Did you read the book first before
Yeah,
you even watched the movie? Okay.
And so I was sick one weekend, and I watched all of the movies. And it's just, the first movie is such a good movie. It's just an amazing movie, and I love it.
Yeah. It came out in 2012, which is why I was kind of surprised that you hadn't seen it before now. But yeah, what do you guys think of the Hunger Games?
Oh my God.
Did we pick the right movie to have you on for?
Let me tell you. So I graduated high school in 2013, so right at the Hunger Games.
I suddenly felt so old. I'm way older than all of you guys this time.
I said I
was only going to have people over 40 on. What did I do?
Sorry. So right at the height of the Hunger Games, I was Katniss Everdeen for Halloween for 4 years.
I can see that, honestly. Yeah, I think that would work really well.
I love the books and the movies. Jennifer Lawrence killed it. Huge J-Law fan over here, so that's all I have to say.
No, you got to say more
Jennifer
than
Lawrence
that.
is just so...
Yeah, that was one of my notes, honestly, that I feel like she elevated the movie a little bit. So I watched it again the other night. I'd seen it years ago. I'd read the books years ago. I remember really liking the book. Like, the book, especially the first one, I remember I couldn't put it down. I think I read it all in one day or maybe just 2 days because it was just such a cliffhanger. Like, every chapter ended on like oh my God, you can't stop reading. You have to know what's going to happen next. But I hadn't watched the movie in a long time, and I didn't have like super positive associations with it. I thought it was like, it's okay. It's kind of a teen movie. But then we watched it again just a couple of nights ago, and actually my husband, who was being very like, whatever, I'm not going to watch the Hunger Games. He got sucked into it, and he sat there the entire time and did not move. It's a way better movie than I remember, and Jennifer Lawrence is very good in it. It makes it very much more than a teen movie.
Yeah, she did act really good on the Hunger Games. I think that's one of the her good movies in my opinion.
I'm trying to think because I almost think of her as being more comedic now. I don't feel like I'm a fan, like I've seen all her movies or anything, but I think of her as being more goofball now, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what I love about her is I feel like she's a very personable person, and especially in her role as Katniss. You know, I felt like you could identify with that role, especially if you are someone with siblings.
An oldest sibling? Are you an oldest?
I am.
Yeah,
so
am I. Yep.
I very much identified with her character in high school, and reading the books. You get attached to characters when a book series is written, as well as I felt like it was.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I can't remember if the trailer did a good job of it, but maybe we should back up and kind of describe. Can you describe for us sort of like the world building that happens in the beginning of this story so that we like understand where it's set?
So this movie is set in, I'm trying to think of the country name, Panama or
Pan Am is what they call it.
Pan Am.
Yes.
Why did I say Panama? I don't have my notes again. Second episode where I did. But, so it's after the 13th district rebelled. So every year to show the districts. Well, first off, there are 12 districts, and they compete for the Hunger Games.
And this is all in a futuristic America, right? Or North America.
Yeah, dystopian society.
We don't know the year. I don't know. I'm looking at you because you're also kind of an expert in this, it sounds like.
I don't think there's a year attached to it, which...
But it's in the future.
Yeah. It's
a terrible future in which some horrible things have happened.
But so the 13th district rebels, and then to show everyone else, all the commoners, the capital, which those are the people in charge, they make up the Hunger Games. And the Hunger Games is a bunch of children who fight to the death. Literally children. They're under 18. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't watched it until last year, because my mom does not like the movie.
Oh, I mean, it's a little violent. when I was reading about it, though, I read that they toned the violence way down, like, as they started producing the movie, just because it could get pretty graphic if they wanted it to.
Children, though.
I was watching it, like, thinking about that fact, and like, oh my god, what if this was like a Tarantino movie or something? Like, this would be over the top. Like, there's so many opportunities. Like, it's pretty violent, but it could be way worse.
But Katniss's sister was picked on, what's the day called?
The Reaping.
The Reaping. Yeah. And they picked one girl and one boy from each city. And Primrose was chosen, and then that's where we get the famous line, "I volunteer as tribute," from Katniss.
Yes, because she volunteers to go in her sister's place.
Yeah. And no one I don't think anyone's ever volunteered before.
No, she was the first one.
Yeah, so it was something where they were like, what do we do? But she went
the first one who volunteered from her district.
Yeah, because the other districts, depending on which district it is, and I might put my foot in my mouth here, but I think District 2 is one of the districts that you train for the Hunger Games.
Are... There's like
I'm
certain
I'm
name
remembering
they have.
the colors. I'm remembering blue and gold.
Yeah. I can't remember either. I feel like I got the impression that they're like physically closer to the Capitol or something, and so they're sort of like kind of like the Capitol. And we should also say that no one from the Capitol, none of the Capitol's children get sent to this, only the children from the districts.
The districts all have different like materials. So there's like masonry, there's electricity, fishing, coal. So there are just all these different material districts.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, and 3 are the luxury goods. So that's why. So they're all born and raised to compete in the games. They want to be in the games, and they want to win the games for their district.
And in this movie, if I'm remembering right, this is the 74th annual Hunger Games, right? So this has been going on for a really long time.
Yeah. Ooh, that's long. It's still just cringy that it's even kids. Like, why not adults? Why does it have to?
Because they want to
it's more
scare.
traumatizing, I think.
Yeah,
like,
they want to scare the
intimidating,
people.
From from Evil Santa. That's what I always call President Snow because
Evil Santa.
Yeah, come on.
I love that. Okay. I could see that.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. He's played by Donald Sutherland, President Snow. Who is in charge of the Capitol, and I guess maybe he's elected by the people in the Capitol, but he's certainly not elected by anybody in the districts. I don't know.
I don't know, but I wanted to punch him in the movie. He was so annoying. I was just like, ooh.
Super evil. Some of the other actors in this that I really, really was glad, I think they made it a much better movie, were Stanley Tucci, Woody Harrelson, and Elizabeth Banks. So Elizabeth Banks was Effie Trinket. Is that her name?
I love Effie.
They have these crazy
in
names.
her butterfly costume.
Yeah, I think she really brings it to that. I feel like Woody Harrelson is the reason my husband started watching because he kind of walks through the room. He's like, "Oh, Woody." We're like, "Okay, now I'll watch this." But he does a really great. What's the character's name now? Haymitch.
Haymitch, yeah.
Haymitch something. I think it's. I want to say Abernathy or something, but I might get it wrong.
Haymitch the drunk.
Yes, so he plays a drunk, which for some reason Woody Harrelson just has that face. I mean, maybe it was Cheers. I don't know. He just looks natural as a drunk. But one moment that I noticed that I thought was really. Did you guys ever? I never noticed this before. So they're sitting around the table at one point, and it's like the moment you can see Haymitch, he's the coach basically to try to help them win the Hunger Games, and at first he's like, accept the fact that you're going to die. Like he's just very like there's no good way out of this. But then at one point they're all having dinner, and you can kind of see it click in his head that maybe they could win, or one of them could win. And he covers his hand over his drink when somebody tries to pour drink for him. And it seems to me like that's the moment where he's like taking it seriously. Like I'm not gonna just drink myself to death like I do every year. Because the story with him is that he won at one point.
Yes.
And that's why he's the coach. Or it's not the coach. What's the...
Victor?
I don't know why I'm saying sponsor. I think
sponsor's like who sends them...
Yeah. I think it's a victor because he lives in the victor.
Yeah, but there's
village.
like another term for like the fact that he helps them, but I can't remember it right now.
He's like a coach.
We're gonna go with coach.
Yeah.
And I'll remember it as soon as we're not recording. But and I thought that was interesting, like because it's understandable why because it's so traumatizing. Like being in the games and winning the games means that you are the only one who lived out of 24 people, so you can kind of understand why he would have sort of drank himself.
Well, yeah.
But So anyway, then they get to the actual games, which takes like half the movie before they're there.
Because they have the opening ceremonies, which that was really cool to me because I like fashion, and then they have like the carriage ride down.
Yes. Well, then we have to talk about Lenny Kravitz as well.
Yes.
Are you a Lenny Kravitz fan?
A little bit. I wouldn't not to any.
You're not going to fly away or anything.
No. But I mean, the fashion in the Hunger Games is one of the key selling points for the movies because you're reading about it on pages, but then to see the costumes and the aspects brought to life is just amazing.
Yeah. So Lenny Kravitz plays a fashion designer or whatever. He's Katniss's, I believe, specific designer for District 12. Yeah. So he, I know we're just talking about the movie, but I believe he designs her costumes through the series. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, till a certain movie.
Yeah, so in this opening ceremony you guys are talking about, he designs her like a dress that somehow appears to burst into flames.
But it's not.
Yeah.
But it has a cool meaning behind it because they're coal. Their industry is coal. And it's supposed to represent coal burning.
Yeah. But you also get the sense that he's a bit of a dissenter, like that he's not pro the Hunger Games.
No.
And so he's trying to kind of light the spark of rebellion is sort of...
Yeah.
What I got out of that. I don't know. Anybody else?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Maybe.
Well, I got that more out of the opening ceremony dress where it turns into the famous...
The Mockingjay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's several movies in. That's not in this one.
No, there was one, though,
what?
During
Yeah.
the
It's not in the first
interview,
one.
there was a dress.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's also like a flamey dress, and that kind of gives us a
Yeah.
chance to talk about Stanley Tucci as the this weirdest, scariest, like
No, it's not Lucky Flickerman. That's
it's Caesar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucky is in
the
Ballad
prequel.
of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes.
Yes.
But they're both amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
they both.
every time I laugh when I see those two.
Yeah. But he plays this crazy host. So the whole thing gives me really interesting, like, because it's all like a reality show,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like a death match. So, but it still reminds you of like American Idol
Yeah.
or Survivor or something like the real, which I don't know if that's what the author was inspired by, but maybe.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
No, I swear, because like you know how they're in that bubble and then they can control the weather and
Yeah.
anything happening. I was like, oh, that is so weird.
Yeah,
like
I
it
know.
just made me like, I don't know, overthink things.
Brought it all back together. But yeah, the Caesar Flickerman character, like sometimes the movie will show the lights are down and it's like they haven't come up yet because like it's a TV show and they're waiting for their cue and you see his face really relaxed and then he puts on this crazy like Joker grin
yeah.
and like looks up and the lights
Like
come
over
on
the
and you're just
top.
like it's so wild.
I feel like I could be him.
Oh my!
I could.
Yep, I second that for you.
You would just interview people on the way to their death match.
Oh,
and you'd be
yeah,
like,
that's
"This
not
is
what
fine."
I meant. No, you would.
I would do that.
That is sad. It's like,
Why?
sorry,
You get
buddy,
us-
I may not see you. That's
I mean, you have job security.
oh my goodness.
It's
no.
gonna happen every year.
Oh my god.
No, dark.
Trying to justify the Hunger Games
No,
over
please
here.
don't.
Goodness.
Yeah. Another reason that the movie might have been so well done is that Suzanne Collins, the author of the books, did the screen adaptation herself.
Oh, yes.
So that helps a lot when an author, I think, is on board.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid did that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
bring
I
it
like
all
when
back.
authors like participate in the movie because they're just movies in books where they don't make
They don't mesh
sense.
together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think having the author on board helps make sure that
Her vision is
the
alive.
vision
Yeah.
and the concepts of the book translate to the movie
Yeah.
because nobody's going to know the book better than the author, right?
Sure, yeah.
So they'll make sure that if things need to be cut or whatever, that it's not something detrimental where you're like wondering, well, what happened
Yeah.
to this character?
Yeah.
Or,
I
you
can't
know.
remember if anything was really cut. It seemed like they...
There were just a couple minor things like hey Mitch, in the book he falls off the stage during.
Oh. I felt like they could have found time for
Yeah.
that.
But
Watch
he was
him
so
take a
drunk
dive.
standing
Yeah.
up during.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
The Reaping.
The Reaping.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's not even in that scene.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
he
think.
was in the book, and he was really drunk already. That's
Yeah.
when we get introduced to him, and he just face plants off of the stage.
Yep.
So I wish we could have seen that.
Speaking of a very opposite moment, I will tell you I actually cried while watching this movie, which actually I do tend to do that in movies pretty easily. But the part where Rue, the little girl,
Oh my gosh!
don't.
Stop.
sorry, I wanted to make sure to warn people, but I mean that's how it's a really serious movie. Like it
Yeah.
really makes you feel things. So Rue is a character, a very young girl who's been sent to the Hunger Games.
She was the youngest.
Yeah, so she's much younger than Katniss. Obviously, reminds her of her sister.
Yes.
And when she, sorry, spoiler alert, but it's Hunger Games. They all die basically. When she dies. It's really sad. It's so I lost it.
And I'm trying to remember what district Rue is from. I think she.
11.
I think it's 11. So it's like
and they're
physically close.
And
to
they're
where-
like, are they fruit or something?
I just think farming.
Farming.
Yeah.
But when Rue passes away, we mentioned earlier that Katniss wasn't really trying to spark a rebellion, but the whole Hunger Games is filmed and shown across the
Right.
districts in the capital.
Yeah.
So when Katniss did a tribute to Rue passing away, because at this point Katniss has like a little group that she's protecting and leading. When Rue passed away, that was shown before the Capitol could cut the footage of what Katniss did and how the people in the Hunger Games responded. And so that was one of the key points in the story was the districts are starting to realize.
Because Rue's home district, like, they freak out. They burn the place down, basically, because of this.
Yeah, they rioted and everything. And I think the reason they use children as a control piece to the adults, it's, you know, the typical, we can control the adults through their children. But then when the children start rebelling.
Watch out.
Yes.
Well, just imagine it in real life. Like,
no thanks.
I would be controlled if it was like that.
If you were sent to the Hunger Games, you'd be. You'd
well,
do whatever.
no, like if I had a child, it would control me because I'd want my child safe. I'd listen. I wouldn't rebel.
Yeah. It's a scary world that she creates. But then it's like the other half of it with like the capital and the extravagance and the sort of over the top fashion and things like that. It's kind of this weird balance of.
But I mean, that's life. Like, we have Hollywood and the rest of the world.
It kind of makes it more believable to me, like this world that she creates.
Oh, no. Let's not go there.
Conspiracy theories?
All right, one more little thing when we were talking about Jennifer Lawrence. Did you know this came out the same year as Silver Linings Playbook?
I did, and
Isn't that crazy?
And I love Silver Linings Playbook.
Do you guys know that movie?
No.
Who's...
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, so it's her and Bradley Cooper. It's more of a weirdo indie romance comedy.
My jam. I mean, truly.
Not usually mine, but I do remember her being pretty funny in it, honestly. Like, it's really, she plays a real weirdo, which I was into.
Her and Bradley Cooper. Yeah. But I think it's, you see her in two completely different roles. But I love that movie. I believe it takes place in like Philly, and it talks about their romance and the different troubles that they have. I think Bradley Cooper struggles with mental health or something in that movie.
Or maybe both of them. I can't remember. But I would have assumed that was like 5 years later or something. Like, I don't know how she did both of those in like a similar amount of time. That's wild.
She's a queen. She's a queen.
Yeah, I have more respect for her than I used to. But yeah. Okay. Well, it feels like we could talk about the Hunger Games the whole time. But is there anything else we just got to say about the Hunger Games before we keep going?
It's amazing. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So it's a fun one to do where you can read the book and watch the movies and kind of have a little book movie club. My daughter and I just did this with The Princess Bride. Also, we read it and then we watched it. So we've been having a lot of fun doing those lately. So, okay. Well, we're going to move on to Karen's pick. And this is a first on the podcast. It's the first time we're going to be talking about something from this particular collection. And I'm going to introduce it to you with a little noise that maybe you'll recognize. All right, Karen, tell us all about what you picked this month.
So this time I chose the Cricut maker. So this might be a debate because I don't know if it's Cricut or Cricut because I called it the Cricut and then I got yelled at. It's a Cricut, but like the logo had like at the beginning a little cricket. Right?
I think it's Cricut.
Okay. It is 100% Cricut.
Okay,
we're going with Cricut.
People tell me Cricut and I'm like, what is it? Like
So tell us what it is for those not in the know, because I had never heard of this until we bought one for the library. I've never heard of it.
Okay, so first off, we have this in our LOT catalog, so you are able to check it out yourself. It is a good thing for crafters. It's basically a cutting machine. You can basically program it to cut through paper, vinyl, fabric. With the Maker, which is a higher one, because there is an Explorer, which is doesn't do what some things that the Maker does, which is like metal, engraved metal. So the Maker does that while the Explorer doesn't. So we have that capability. So our Maker actually comes with 2 mats. It comes with the scissors, the scraper, the little tweezer, all the little tools you need if you want to make any projects. But yeah, so really this machine, you can do a whole bunch with it. I bought an Explorer, and I made T-shirts with it, which is the Explorer and the Maker are the same thing. I made T-shirts with it. I've made water bottles because I was a soccer coach before, and so for my little kiddos, I made them all a water bottle with their name on them, so they can keep it on them for practice. I made decals for like cars and stuff, and like a lot of people told me like, oh, you can go into business. It is too much work. Too much work. Like, it is fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, like especially with like all the ideas that you can like do, but it's so much work. Yeah. So like, okay, so for example, I just had kind of a problem with the Maker. So it hasn't been used in a while, and I didn't really check the blade. So I was trying to make a project for us. Supposed to be
look at
this. So it's a little.
You're gonna put it on like an acrylic.
Yes.
Thing.
So is gonna and in different color. This is just my example to kind of show you guys.
So for
people that can't see.
For those of you at home, yes, it says the Dewey Decibel System, and it has this really cool like Spotify QR code thing on it that just looks neat.
Yes.
Karen's gonna make this and put it at the front desk so that people can just scan it. And
yes. So I decided to make something so people can know about us, because not a lot of people know about the podcast. So what I decided was to make because Spotify has like a share button, and if you share it and you put your camera over it, it will take you right to a specific song, artist, whatever. And so I made the QR code be our first episode of the Dewey Decimal System. I mean, Dewey Decibel.
You got it. Yeah, it's a play on words.
Okay, and so when I make it, when you come to the front desk and scan it, it will take you right there, and you can go ahead and start listening to us.
That's really cool, and it looks very professional.
Yes, and it's literally like it's work, but it's not work. So if you do want to make things, you do have to download Cricut Design Space, because that's the program that tells your machine how to cut, what to cut, how deep, all that good stuff. So you do have to download that. You can download it on Windows and Mac, but you do need it. You can connect the Maker via Bluetooth or per a cord that we do also carry. So really you can do a whole bunch of projects with this. I really don't know.
Yeah, no, I want to kind of ask, because before we started recording, Grace's face just lit up like a Christmas tree when she found out we were going to talk about this. So I admit, I wondered, I don't know why, I'm sorry if I stereotyped you, but I was just like, she looks like a crafty gal. I think she might be into
You
this.
weren't wrong.
Okay.
I mean, I am a crafty person. I would say I am a sporadic crafter. I take on different projects, and then I have an entire closet bursting of random materials. However, me and my Cricut machine got very familiar last year. I have a Cricut Air because I did a lot of my wedding stuff with it.
Okay.
So I actually did. I wanted to incorporate like this fern cutout. So I guess I'll share a few resources of where I found different things, because I definitely like to design stuff from scratch, and I'll use Cricut Design Space or Canva.
Yeah.
So you can design stuff on stuff other than the Cricut thing.
Yeah,
if you don't want to do it.
And you can upload the files to the Cricut Design Space, and then you can also find, and you can support local on Etsy. You can support like designers. And you can always check like the Made in USA or within like a certain radius on Etsy. And you can search different digital files of people who have already done all of the hard work to design what you wanted, and then you can just upload it and then cut it out on the Cricut. So one of my favorite things that I made with the Cricut machine was I made these yard game signs, and we're a big Happy Gilmore fan over
I just
here.
watched this recently too.
So
I think I was just sad about Carl Weathers, but anyway.
Yeah,
go on.
So I did. We have a battle putt yard game that we always bring out, and people always ask, well, what are the rules? And then you have a barbecue, and then you're trying to explain the rules for this yard game. So I made this sign, and I did, the quick rules of same rules as beer pong, and then I have a graphic of Happy Gilmore putting it in. But I did that all on the Cricut machine, so I did it on vinyl, and then I attached it to the board. So it's a very great tool.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's amazing that the library has this for people to use.
People can come and check it out, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if you even wanted to check it out and plug it in our community room and use it there, you don't even have to take it home if you didn't want to.
Exactly what I did.
Yep.
Yes.
Because it is a little tricky if you don't know how to use it. So YouTube might be your best friend too. Because when I first started, I literally was like, okay, what do I do? It looks so simple because there's 3 buttons on that thing, and you're just like, okay, what? What do I do?
Yeah.
But literally YouTube, even TikTok, you can look up so many ideas, and even informative things. I know that I use thefonts.com because like she said, you make your own things because it's just better that way.
So that's DAFONTS .com.
Yeah. And you can, basically, it's just a whole bunch of different fonts that you can use to create your projects. Because I made a welcome sign, and I used a font, and so I can have it a specific font how I wanted it, and then just put it on the, in the Cricut design space, and then just told the machine to make it, and you just peel it off and put it on the thing, and that is it. Literally, it's so awesome.
Yeah, and it was so fast when you were showing it to me earlier. I was imagining if you had to cut that out with an X-Acto knife, it could be done. But
No,
it took maybe, I don't know, 45 seconds, maybe? It was not
They're
much.
really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing, the pro tip that I tell people is, when you are trying to make designs, be careful with thin designs, because if you make them thin, it's so hard to get it actually out in one piece, because it can tear. It's vinyl, it's whatever you're using, it's really flimsy kind of. Another thing I do is I like to kind of move the design a certain way so I can save material.
Yes.
Because
I love how you guys are just best friends.
I'm just snapping over here.
Yes, because if you just tell the machine to cut the colors exactly how it is, you are using so much material.
This takes me back. My dad was an art teacher. This takes me back to his obsession with saving every little piece of construction paper, and making when kids would cut things out of the middle, how mad it would make.
Oh my goodness! I used to be mad at my mom because she does weird little stuff like that. Yeah. And when you have a Cricut machine, you save every single bit. You're even if it's a size of a penny, you're oh, I can make that into a heart, something. You just don't throw anything away.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, and it's
but you're pretty good at thrifting the stuff. It sounds like.
Yeah,
right?
well, I got this stuff at Hobby Lobby, and they actually had a sale going on. Also, another tip: you don't have to use Cricuts. Product. It's a Cricut machine, but it does not need to be Cricut vinyl. Doesn't need to be Cricut.
I'm sure they won't tell you that.
Yeah, they won't tell you. But there are so many other cheaper alternatives that are way better, higher quality at that. So I would look around first before you. I mean, it's good to be for your starter if you really don't know where to start with, but if not, I would go a different route, because a roll, it can go anywhere from $7 to $17. It just depends, because the vinyl, it's cheaper. Removable vinyl is cheaper than the permanent vinyl. But the iron-on stuff, because this can cut it off, that way you can iron on stuff.
To fabric.
Yes, to fabric and stuff like that. So I lost my train of thought really quick.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's kind of sky's the limit, with what you could make with it.
Yeah, because you can even you can cut cardstock too. Because I was actually debating on using it because I wanted to make a display for us for a Dewey Decimal System, which is so weird.
Karen's our main promoter now.
Yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
well, because I wanted to make one and like every week kind of like have it like a new decimal system number, and then have books of that. So
Oh wait, you're not talking about the podcast
No,
anymore.
no,
You're
no,
just
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
actual
Well,
Dewey Decimal
yes,
System.
yes. No.
Sorry,
See,
I got excited
it
for a
went
second.
whoop. No.
We're gonna be famous.
No. So like I was gonna use like the Cricut to kind of cut the numbers for me,
Yeah,
and
'cause
just
it would
have
look much
extra ones.
nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then just have it there, and then just put it up, and literally it's sky's the limit with this
Yeah.
machine.
Cool.
Yeah.
They have so much stuff too. The brand they have, the big Cricut like we have, they have a mini, they have a cup press, they have a t-shirt press.
So you have this at your house too? Is your mom a
My
cricketer?
mom is a huge cricketer. She scrapbooks everything.
Oh, yeah?
So we just have she has a whole room dedicated to that
Whoa.
Oh
stuff.
my gosh.
Serious.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guarantee your mom's room is a lot more organized.
It's not just a
No.
closet that
Because
Our house is under construction right now, so
it's a messy craft room
Yeah.
off.
but she has like all the tools, all the cutting heads.
Yeah, it's like
she's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
And during Christmas time, she'll like kind of make a business out of it because she
really?
does these wine glasses,
Oh, okay.
and it's just crazy.
Christmas time.
Yeah, that would be nice for making little homemade gifts. Because like Karen and I were talking about earlier, I kind of like to do lino cuts, and I've made like bags where I've done a print on the bag and given them away as gifts. But yeah, the amount of, obviously you have to physically cut the block and then I don't have a press, so I'm like jumping up and down on like the block, and because I don't have any way, like this would definitely be a less
better.
labor intensive way to accomplish a similar
Yes,
thing.
and it's even good for kids' projects. So, like, my daughter had a poster that she had to do, and she's like, "Mom, I want some extra cute little things," and we just,
just
got
did
on
'em.
there. Yep, just got on there. Like she said, Etsy, so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you can pay for an SVG. Literally, you just drag that thing to Cricut Design Space and just tell the machine
That's
make
kind
it.
of nice, because I think that might,
Yeah.
a lot of people might be intimidated by that part of it.
Yeah, and they're like $2.
Yeah.
Like the template that I used for my wedding invite, like little fern folder thing, it was $2.50, and then I bought the cardstock in bulk, and I think, I mean, it was like it came out to like $15 mostly because
Yeah.
of the cardstock. But then you just sit there; it's the time
Yeah.
that it takes.
Yeah,
and
but
the
imagine if you had to
multiple
cut 'em all
mats and-
out.
Yeah.
Oh no, it would have been impossible.
Yeah.
Like I cannot cut in a straight line. So.
But yeah, so
Okay. Well, I know Karen really wants people to come check this out. She's
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
like, wait, why are you not coming to check this out? It's like this great thing. Yeah, I had no idea that it was a thing, but
It's a learning curve.
yeah,
But,
it
like,
really is.
maybe you need to teach a class. Should we do like a cricket
Ooh, that
beginner
would be
cricket
fun.
program or something?
Those
that
are
would
pretty
be fun.
popular.
Are they?
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
maybe that could be something to look into.
Yeah, we'll think about that. You and Jen, because Jen,
Yeah.
who works here at the library too, also is a big.
She
She's the
loves
reason
it.
we have it.
Yeah.
She was like, you have to get this, and I'm like, what? But,
Right, you're like, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, that could be an idea.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Karen, for letting us talk about something so different. Is there anything cricket we left?
No,
Anything else?
which is cool.
Crickets rule.
Cricket's rule. Okay.
And it's cricket.
Cricut.
No, we decided. We made a decision. Okay, my pick is next, and I've got a clip to introduce it for us.
Okay, so The Deep is a book by River Solomon inspired by a song that I wrote with my band Clipping, and it is about an underwater society, and it's inspired by true historical events. So during the slave trade, it was common practice to throw pregnant women overboard. The imagination that is going on in this book is that there's now a society of the descendants of those pregnant women living underwater.
Y'all remember?
Surface water temperature, 308 Kelvin.
Y'all remember when the call went out? Ay, no deep, no more deep. Y'all remember when the call went out? Ay, no deep, no more deep. Y'all remember feeling wind up on your skin? No deep, no more deep. Y'all remember how it burned in the beginning? No deep, ride on 'em, ride on 'em, ride on 'em. Y'all remember seeing sun across the surface on the day that y'all first came about the water. So deep. How the breaking of the surface showed the sky without a border and the air was so much hotter. So deep. How the woke dreamers screamed and it rose tides, and the waves stretched up like a mountain high, and the no-gills gasped and they closed eyes, and they prayed to their gods and they asked why. And then y'all cried too, cause y'all recognized mama in the faces of the ones that y'all would terrorize. They were sisters and brothers, they were the babies born about the water, not connected to each other, not a knowledge of the one drop, but they had to learn today. Y'all at one shot, let the sun burn today. Let them feel the dark even deeper today. Make a true leg a believer today. Let them know that they done woke a sleeper from a sleep. So deep. That y'all been dancing without any feet. So deep. Is the nerve that they struck with a blast, that they broke with a drill, that they burnt with a gas. Y'all remember? So deep. Sunshine. Right on. Y'all remember? So deep. Sunshine. Right on. Y'all remember? So deep. Sunshine. Right on. Y'all remember when y'all had to let them breathe? Right on. Aye.
Wow. Oh, everybody got really into that. Okay, so what you just heard was David Diggs, and that was his group. That was him first talking about the song, which then you heard a part of by his group Clipping. And so that song kind of inspired the book that we're actually going to talk about. The Deep is a fantasy science fiction novella from 2019 that was written by River Solomon. And so, as you kind of heard in the clip he was introducing, the book takes place in an underwater society of people who are the descendants of pregnant women who had been thrown overboard off of slave ships. So that in the book, the mythology is that these babies, they're still in the womb, and so when they're born into the water, they, can breathe because they had never been breathing, which I thought was kind of interesting. But they have fins, all of that stuff. The main character in the story is Yetu, and she is the historian for her people. So it's her job to carry all of the memories. Many of them are traumatic, so that everyone else is spared the burden of feeling these traumatic memories. But every year there's like this ceremony where then she shares them with all the people again. And, they remember for a little while, but then they give them back to the historian at the end of the ceremony. But she's really suffering. Like, it's really difficult for her to carry all of these memories. And so in the middle of this ceremony, she leaves. And she just leaves all the people holding the memories, not her. She kind of just quits. She's like, I'm out of here. And so, I won't go into the whole rest of the story. But the book is really quite poetic. It's quite thought-provoking. It kind of took me a little while to get into, to let myself be submerged in the story. But I ended up really enjoying it. And then, I had read the book first, and I didn't know anything about the fact that there was a song that went with it. And actually, there's so many layers to this, but it's kind of cool. I love how it was sort of people riffing off of each other. But there was do you guys know the radio show This American Life? Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's been going on for a long time. But anyway, so they did a whole show about Afrofuturism, which was really fun to go. Again, I did these all backwards. But that show commissioned Clipping to do the song The Deep. Oh. And then after that, the book was written. So it was like, I don't know, but that show, that episode of This American Life was really, I forget what it was actually called. Shoot, I wish I had written that down. But anyway, it was a really fun episode to listen to because it got into all these things which I didn't realize necessarily connected. Like, one of my favorite authors is Octavia E. Butler. She had written that book that we talked about. Remember when we talked about Lilith's Brood? I told you about this crazy alien story. That was my favorite book from last year. We talked about it on one of the other.
Yes.
And she wrote Kindred as well, which is a quite popular book right now. And then he talked about Parliament Funkadelic and the Mothership Connection. Do you guys know about this at all?
No, but I need to know.
No, you do need to know. So this is George Clinton in the 70s had this empire of funk music, like all these people, all these different groups that split off, the Brides of Funkenstein and Bootsy's Rubber Band and like all of this cool stuff. But George was super into science fiction, and he like spent a bunch of his own money actually to create this to build this huge spaceship that would descend, and he would get out of it at the beginning of every show because he was. So anyway, this whole Afrofuturism thing, I was like, I'm on board. There's so much good stuff here. But yeah, anyway, so back to the book. I had seen this on the shelf, like I think maybe when we got it new, and the cover is really beautiful. It's got this kind of mermaid on it, it's blue and it's the deep, and it's very mysterious. And so it was one of those that I picked because I was just like, oh, it's in the science fiction section and it looks cool. But yeah, I just really wasn't expecting it to be as deep as it was. Sorry, I've got a lot of good ones today. But yeah, did you guys get a chance to check out this book and have any thoughts?
Yeah. And it kind of sucks that they
wait. Oh, sorry.
No.
It's terrible.
No, not the book. I meant that because if I remember correctly, in the beginning it said that they can't remember long, and that's why they choose one person.
I think it's more because it's so painful for them to remember.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like a way for them to not forget their history, but to not have to live with it all the time. Which I think there's an obvious, parallel that they're trying to make to
they can't write it down. So
right.
Maybe they could.
Spell it with bubbles. No, but
I didn't even think of it that way.
I didn't either. That's actually a good one. But I mean, that sucks because if a person that's an empath and they feel people's feelings, imagine her. She has to have the memory of every single.
And I think it says when she's 14 is when she becomes the historian.
Exactly.
And I think she's in her 30s or something.
And
in the
that's
story.
the worst time you can get something like that.
Could you imagine that? Just carrying, in this world, carrying 9/11, Holocaust, Pearl Harbor, every bad thing that's happened.
And nobody else does. They're just
having that all in you, but no one else to relate to.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I see why she ran away.
I mean, swam away.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think the other piece of it too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she has the memories, so she has her own personal feelings about the memories, but then it's drawing from each individual person and their reaction every single year, reacting to this information. So you could be sad, anger, confusion, whatever, but she's getting all of that at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
that's feeling overload.
Yeah, sometimes there's sort of a flashback to a memory that isn't hers, but something that she remembers, and it's something really horrible, like a woman getting thrown overboard, and dying, and it's pretty wild stuff.
I could never personally.
That's what I'm saying. No,
I can't even handle my own emotions.
My kids are already too much. I'm
really. You don't say.
Shush. No, but I'm just saying, trauma. I mean, but she did. I remember she did have somebody that she liked that they were a brave person, and she liked when she would have that person's memories.
Interesting.
I forgot.
Yeah, because it's not always negative.
Well,
there's a lot of trauma in the history of these underwater people, but it's not always negative. There's
there's
beautiful
good
stuff
and bad,
too.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always good and bad at everything, but still, I think that would be just too much of a big burden to have. I'm nope, nope. Just let me be another fish. Be a school fish.
Another music reference that I kind of forgot to say earlier. So I guess the original idea behind this comes from a group called Drexia, which was this Detroit-based electronic group, and I can't remember exactly the years, but I think quite a while ago. But I kind of wondered, listening to the Clipping song, if that was some of the sampling in the background, because I did listen to a little bit of Drexia just to see it. It's very electronic dance based, but they would come up with these really elaborate stories, most of them science fiction-y kind of stories, and this was one of them basically. So that was the original concept. So it's just kind of grown and evolved, and all these different people sort of jump in and get into the creative process, which I just thought that was really cool. Nice. That it's it's not just from one person; it's sort of this collaborative art that's happening.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Really neat. It really creates the universe for this story, and I just normally, I don't know. This is the first time I've heard of a book being written about a song that was kind of derived from a talk show.
That's derived from history.
Yeah,
right.
It's very.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
So you didn't know that this was
No, I read the book
from
first.
I feel like that's very on par for you, though. Having music.
I tend to go into things cluelessly, but I was really happy there was a music connection.
Just a music connection. Yeah. That's so you, though, because you're very connected to music.
Yeah, and I can really imagine it. Sometimes I've written songs that it feels like they're kind of a novel. Like, you know what I mean? Like you sort of have this idea and it's this huge world, but I'm not a novelist.
No, I gotcha.
So you kind of put it into like what you can,
but with a beat.
Yeah, no. So Dewey Diggs, if anybody kind of recognized his voice, he's most famous from Hamilton. He plays two characters, one in the first half and one in the second half, and I'm not going to remember either one now. I think I might have written it down, but I can't remember. Did anybody listen to? I've never actually seen, because I don't even know if there's a way to watch.
He's either
Hamilton.
George Washington or Thomas Jefferson.
No, hold on.
He isn't Hamilton?
No,
that's
not
Lin-Manuel.
Oh, that is correct, yes.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm not going to remember. But yeah, he's in that. And I've never seen it. Like, I don't know. Last time I was even interested in what it was, I don't know if there was a way to watch it. But I know I listened to the whole cast recording of it. I don't know. Has anybody else listened to it?
Nope.
Hamilton?
No.
Yeah.
I love Hamilton.
You love Hamilton.
We saw it live.
You did?
Yeah, not with the original cast, but we saw it in Chicago.
Yeah.
Of course you would. Grantland.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
You love going to Chicago.
I love. So he played. 1 second. It's loading. It's loading. He's one of the top.
Yeah, no, he's one of the big ones in it. And then I remember him weirdly, I think, in an episode of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Did anybody else watch that show?
What's his name again?
Dewey Diggs.
He played He did play Jefferson.
He played.
He played Marquis de Lafayette.
Okay. Yes.
Love that role. Because he's like a rapper.
They're all rappers.
No, but he's like.
Weren't you there?
He's like. Marquis de Lafayette. He's like going off.
Yeah. He's got a more.
As you could hear
from his. Yeah, he's a very.
Let's not sidetrack to Hamilton though, because I can go all day with that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for reading The Deep and listening to it. I would definitely recommend, looking into the music side of it, too. That one wasn't, I will admit, something that I was able to find using my library card. Sorry. I just used YouTube. But there's probably some way that we could get it for you if you wanted to, because it's pretty cool. Okay. So we have saved the guest for last. Woo. And now I have something to introduce your pick for us, Grace.
My name is Arnold Lobel. I have written and illustrated a book called Frog and Toad Are Friends, and I will read some of the stories for you now. Spring. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. There was no answer. "Toad, Toad!" shouted Frog. "Wake up! It is spring!" "Blah," said a voice from inside the house. "Toad, Toad!" cried Frog. "The sun is shining, the snow is melting. Wake up!" "I am not here," said the voice. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog. "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was lying in bed.
All right, Grace, tell us what you brought for us to read and talk about today.
Well, if you couldn't tell, we're going to be talking about the Frog and Toad book series. I grew up with this series, and I love frogs and toads. I'm actually wearing my Frog and Toad shirt today.
I saw that.
Really cute. Yeah.
It is from The List, and it's the kind of the famous quote where it goes, "I will just have to sit here and do nothing," said Toad. Toad sat and did nothing. Frog sat with him.
Aww.
And I love that quote because I feel like it sums up the series, and it kind of sums up Frog and Toad's friendship. I guess I should talk a little bit about the series itself.
Tell us all about it. Yeah.
So they're children's books, and the stories are written, and they're kind of a little bit of a short story series. So The original series are Frog and Toad and Friends, Frog and Toad are Friends, Frog and Toad Together, Frog and Toad All Year, and Days with Frog and Toad. And each book is 5 short stories. So the original is 20 short stories. And they're just little stories about a frog and a toad who are best friends, and they go on these little adventures. Toad, he's kind of the more toned back. I would almost say a little bit more of an Eeyore kind of personality.
Sure. I think we got that from the clip a little bit. Like, he's like, I'm not getting out of bed. Like, get out of here, Frog.
Yeah, and, Frog is kind of the balance to Toad. Mm-hmm. And so in each story, kind of like the quote I said, you see the balance of the 2 different personalities and the different characteristics of the characters and how they work together, and they just accept each other for who they are. And I think that's what makes the stories timeless.
Yeah.
And where my love of Frog and Toads came from.
Do you think this was formative in your decision to get into naturalist type work?
Absolutely. Or I was going to try and do it like abso-totally, but it really is. I grew up in the suburbs west of Chicago, and toads, I started rescuing them out of window wells, and it's interesting having a book series focused on frogs and toads, because I feel like they have a little bit of a you don't touch them, you'll get warts, don't lick them, it's a witchy kind of thing.
Or that they're the same thing, and there's actually a really cute story where Toad is afraid to be seen in his bathing suit, and Frog is like, I don't wear a bathing suit, and Toad's like, well, I do.
Yeah, and, they're great little animals. They're so supportive of our ecosystem. It's important for things to feed other things, and they're great pest control. That's my little soapbox on why frogs and toads are important. But the stories itself, they have that underlying message. And Arnold Lobel, one of the reasons he has the stories written the way he did was he wanted them to be timeless. So he tried to avoid having different types of technology in it to keep it at the frog and toad level and to keep them in their own universe.
Well, I actually found myself surprised that it was written in the 70s. Like, I was aware of these, but I hadn't really looked at it, and for some reason I thought they were much older than that.
Me too. I thought that they were like a late 50s, early 60s series.
Or even like, I don't know, like they are timeless. Like, they could have been written anytime.
Yeah. So they're just really cool, and I love them.
Yeah. So the clip we heard was the author reading the story, which I thought was really neat. And I think it was actually, it was like a record, so you could hear like all the scratchiness of the record and stuff too, because that was something they used to do more often, was put out a book and a record together, which was pretty cool. Yeah. I really loved getting a chance to read these. I'm really glad that you picked them. I think my favorite story was the one where, it must be Toad, because you're saying that's his personality. He's like, I'm just going to do everything tomorrow. Do you know which one I'm talking about? But then he gets really stressed out by like all the things that he has to do tomorrow, and Frog's kind of like, well, if you just did them today, then you wouldn't have to do them tomorrow. And I'm like, this was written for me. This was written for adults. Like,
I like the list one, because he was like, what was it? This wasn't on the list. Well, I guess I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm like, yep, that's me.
I feel like Frog and Toad kind of describe us too in a way.
You know what?
You guys are Frog and Toad.
Yeah. But it switches.
Wait, which one's Frog and which one's Toad?
It kind of switches though, because when we went out to the preserve, I feel like I was more Toad. I was like, I don't want to be out here.
And I'm like, look at everything.
Yeah, I was like, there are mosquitoes. It's muddy. Let's just go back. And she was like, no, we have to go. We have to see nature. And I was like, do we have to?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that one, it cracked me up. Like, I don't know why, just that little. I just won't do anything. I was like, that's me. And then but I never read of these stories, and I never even heard of them. And so when people asked, oh, what are you talking about on the podcast? And I told them, everyone's like, oh, I know this, and I'm like, I feel
how did
so.
I miss this?
Yeah,
one? I didn't really remember this one either. I mean, I think maybe at some point, but they remind me of the Little Bear books. I think those are the ones that I really remember. Do you remember those ones?
Yeah.
I think those were illustrated by Maurice Sendak, but I don't think he wrote them.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
they're
I
similar.
read those, yes.
Yeah. kind of those short story, early, easy readers that kids can read by themselves. But it's nice. I don't know if they do this as much anymore, but I don't have a little kid anymore, so I don't read little kid books so much anymore. But it's like they're written in an easy reader style. Like they're very easy to read, but they're not boring or like dumbed down.
I went down a small rabbit hole, so buckle up, people.
Okay.
So there's maybe you guys know this. I think it's called the Dolch list. So, and again, it's supposedly a list of common words used in children's books to build like the I Can Read series. So that's why you'll get these books that have similar words, but they're different stories to help with like the repetitiveness of reading. And when these books were written, Arnold was kind of given the liberty to move away from that list. So that's why you'll sometimes see bigger words in there like avalanche versus like rocks rolling down the hill. Because I cannot remember who he published these with, but they told him that they didn't want him to be restricted with like the words he was using to like compromise the story, which I think leads into why you can enjoy these stories even as an adult. I was reading them out loud to my husband, and he was laughing because he had never heard them either. And he's like, this is, and again, they're short stories. So you, as an adult, you can read them in like a minute or two, but they are grounding, like the list. We all have to-do lists. We all can feel overwhelmed at times, and then reading a story about Frog telling Toad, well, you lost your list, Toad, and then Toad writes in the sand, like, completed my list or something, and then crossed it out because, well, the list is gone, so it must be done. And, it kind of helps bring back to reality some of those like day-to-day things that we can get wrapped up in. So
this is making me feel bad because there's a little bit of a trend in libraries right now where they do adult story times, and I was kind of like, ugh, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard of. But as you were talking, I just realized this would be the kind of book that if you had a bunch of adults sitting around and you read through a story like The List and everyone got to like, I can relate, and let's talk, like that would probably actually work. Darn it.
Right.
Jen will be happy because she wanted to do it, and I was like, this is too dumb. We're not doing it.
You could do it with coloring pages.
We could do it with coloring pages, yes, the whole thing. But yeah, they're very relatable, and it's kind of, I think it's nice, like if you're reading it with a kid, I thought it would be really fun to read with actual kids. It's like, oh yeah, we all know what this feels like. A little kid knows what it feels like, an adult knows what it feels like. So that's really, the author is very skilled to be able to get that across.
Yes, yeah. So that's...
Yeah, and it has like little morals to it. It's what I think of it, because there was one where they were like planting seeds and Frog was like, grow, and Toad was like, Toad's like, chill, like, it takes time kind of thing.
Or the kite one stuck out to me too, because they had to try the kite, and the robins are kind of like, this is never going to work.
Right.
And Frog's like, well, we have to make another try. And eventually it works.
Exactly. So it's like just the cute little, like little life lessons is what I see it as. Just little cute life lessons, and you're learning how to read.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. They're great.
Yes.
Great books. And he's the illustrator as well.
Oh, I didn't know
really?
that.
Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole. How true this rabbit hole is. Please don't judge me. I believe he started these illustrations when he was like in second grade.
There was something that I printed off. I didn't. because he was homesick out of school for much of second grade and kept himself busy drawing. It says here.
Oh.
So I believe he created the characters and the illustrations, and then from his illustrations created the stories.
That's cool.
That's my take on it. I was kind of surprised to find that I was having to really kind of go through stuff and not just Wikipedia.
Well, then you've done more than me.
Because we know Wikipedia and everything, and it was kind of interesting that I felt like I really had to like dig. I was going through some Reddit.
Yeah.
Like, just give me some info on this guy.
Yeah.
So
Was he kind of more of a private guy? Is that why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I just couldn't find as much. I was like, let me read his whole history for this, and I could not find anything more than articles written by other people. So
yeah, some people are just a little more private, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So were these pretty much it then? The books that we have here, these 4 are the main?
Yeah,
okay.
So they have the 4 main stories, and then I believe there's 2 other, there's 4 main books. There's the 20 stories, and then I think it was the early 2000s where they released the 4 books in a actual book, so you could get all 20 stories in one book.
Cool. I saw too that they made a claymation series out of this at one point. Did any of you guys? I watched a little bit on YouTube.
My goodness.
Oh,
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it was also from the 70s.
Oh,
so
great. 70s claymation.
70s, that was the era. That was the golden age of claymation.
It really was.
Yep. All right. Well, anybody else have any last thoughts on Frog and Toad?
No.
Such an amazing series.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got little kids, this is one to read to them, read together, and just enjoy because it's really great for everybody. Okay, so we are going to end our show today on just a little bit of library joy, like we are always going to do now. And I have a bit of a sound clip to play to introduce our library joy. Okay, so these were some sounds from Myron Perlman Preserve, which is north of Buchanan. It's our new Chikaming Open Lands Preserve that we have, and all 3 of us, Karen, Grant, and myself, have visited there recently and took some video, and so those are some sounds from our videos. The one, the real big squelch was when I was walking over. It was very wet the day I went out there, but you guys have put boards and stuff out, so it was fine. Yes. But yeah, the squelching noise walking over those boards.
It sounded like a murder.
But it's beautiful out there, and the sound of the birds and tell us a little bit more about the preserve, maybe.
Yeah, so Myron Perlman Preserve is great. It's great. A few cool things about it. We acquired the property last year, or I think it was at the end of 2022, and then we opened it to the public fall of 2023, and what makes that preserve really special is the beech trees. We have a beech ridge trail that goes up through the center, and then you can do the Myron Perlman loop, and it's one of my favorite preserves for a lot of reasons. You have the wetlands in the preserve, which, as we've talked about, I love frogs. You could actually hear the trilling noise. That was one of our native tree frogs. Oh, cool. We have copes and grays. I can't tell the difference. It was one of those.
I didn't even really realize we had tree frogs around here.
Yeah, so we have 2 different species of tree frogs. So that's a great place if you're wanting to hear our tree frogs. You can also hear pileated woodpeckers out there. That's another piece of that preserve, but it really is. It's a great preserve to walk year round. It does get a little buggy, so be prepared.
I just kept moving and I was
fine. Don't stop.
But yeah, the reason this is our library joy is because we have a story walk out there right now. This is such a cool program, you guys. I think we've done it with you 3 or 4 years.
Was it pre-COVID? I think it was 2019. Did it start?
Maybe. I can't even remember now. It feels like forever. But it's our first year having the story walk at Myron Perlman. It used to be at Burns Prairie.
Yes.
Which is also a beautiful preserve, and people should go out and see it, but a very different environment. But yeah, so we have a story walk out there right now, so you can go see the beautiful preserve, and then you can look at the book. What is it?
The Hike. It's called The Hike. Yeah. And it's.
I picked it. I should remember. But it's a really cute story of some girls, and they're going out on a hike, and they've got their little nature journals, and they're putting stuff in there. So yeah, you can see the preserve, you can read the story, and I just love this partnership between our organizations. It's really cool.
Yeah, and Story Walk is such a great initiative because libraries are the hub of the community. So for us to be able to partner with you guys and help get people outside and interacting with the preserves. Sometimes I feel like we need an excuse to get outside. It seems silly, but having programs like Story Walk where you can go out at your own pace, they're really important because it helps get you outside, and it helps, if it's a really nice day but you don't want to go to the park again, you could go to this preserve and you could go read a book and do it at your own pace, and it's great.
Well, thank you guys. I love that you do this every year. It's great. I hope you keep doing it. All right. Well, we have had a wonderful discussion today, a long discussion. We were very into all of our picks. So, so thank you guys, all of you, and thank you, Grace, especially for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So we will be back next month with another episode. Until then, everybody, stay cool out there. Bye. See you for summer reading.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Dewey Decibel System, the official podcast of the Buchanan District Library. Thanks as well to our special guest, Grace Fredenburg, for joining us today. Our theme music was written and performed by Miguel Perez, aka Dogzilla, and this episode was recorded at the Buchanan District Library on May 24th, 2024. You can learn more about the library by visiting buchananlibrary.org or stopping in to see us in downtown Buchanan, Michigan.